We're so excited to have you here for the grand opening and ribbon cutting of our new esports lounge.
I'm very excited because they give a way of us young people to connect, and it brings out a good environment and everything. And I learned yesterday that people can have similar hobbies and that can start a friendship or maybe a possible career for them in their future lives.
To be able to have a space that's across the street from JAG, right next to Danley, in the center of our community, right? With 30 different systems, that if you walk in there, I was asking some of the youth that came in the space earlier how it felt to them, right? Like, how did it make them feel? They said, oh, it's unbelievable, right? For them to be able to have smiles, sit down, and be able to feel comfortable in a space in a YMCA, that's what we're doing it for. And so I'm excited for what this can be. I'm excited to be able to open up the avenue for esports teams through the high schools to be able to come and have this as their home base, right? Like, to be able to say, hey, we got the best esports space in the entire country, right? Like, you can't compete with us. And so that's what I want.
Welcome everyone. My name is Terrance Baldwin, and I am here. We are here to have a podcast right here live on your streaming platforms, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. This is a very important time of year because it's back to school in Montgomery, and I am excited. We wanted to do this podcast to remind you that we have a big back to school bash taking place on August the 2nd at the Crampton Bowl Multiplex from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We need everyone there. We're going to have giveaways. We're giving away book bags and all that stuff. Everything your child may need. Maybe not uniforms, but but I have a wonderful panel here. We're going to have this discussion. First of all, we have our newly appointed superintendent, Mr. Zacchaeus Bird.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Baldwin.
Oh, man, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
We also have my Commissioner Carmen Ziegler.
Thank you for having me, Terrance.
Oh.
It's a delight to be here.
Yes. And a classmate of mine. We went to school together. Make some noise for my probate judge, Mr. J.C. Love.
How you doing, Terrance? Glad to be here with you this afternoon.
So look, we have these county representatives here, and we're going to talk about back to school. But before we get into the discussion, what's your fondest back to school moment? I'll start it with mine. I remember my mama used to take me downtown to Wheels. Y'all didn't get clothes from Wheels, did you? And we go down there, get about 3 pair of jeans, 2 shirts, and that would be my clothes. We didn't have uniforms back then. But Dr. Bird, can you tell me your fondest back to school memory?
Yes, sir, most definitely. My fondest back to school memory, of course, it has always been the night before. Right. Of course, the anticipation of actually getting back to school, of course, seeing your friends and different things such as that. But my favorite part was actually having the opportunity to pick out my outfit. And so as we were actually laughing about it, my favorite part was making sure, because again, my mom, she made sure that she had all of our clothes ironed and starched and different things such as that. And so among my siblings, we would oftentimes look at our clothes and see which pair of pants had the most starch in them. Because we somehow figured that was mom's favorite. But of course, that was my most fondest memory is trying to get our clothes together, making sure that everything was, because we had all of our clothes laid out on the couch and different things such as that. So we woke up early that morning, put on our clothes, and we thought that we were clean. We thought that we were sharp.
I'm sure you were. Commissioner Ziegler, can you tell me your fondest memory back
think
to
my
school?
fondest memory goes back to probably kindergarten when my mom would go and let me pick out that special lunchbox. You know, you get the tin
Ooh.
lunchbox with the character on
got
it, and you get that. And then I remember my mom would take my thermos and she would freeze it at night. She'll put my little Kool-Aid in there, and she would freeze my thermos. And so I think that was one of my fondest memories, getting ready, because, you know, back then, parents put extra attention in getting you ready for
right.
school. And it was a badge of honor when you came there. And we just talked about it. Your clothes were ironed, you were clean, and you had my mama let me go and pick out, especially when we got older, I got a chance to give me a little bottle of perfume. So, you know, I thought
You
I
had the
was
white
hot.
diamonds back then?
No, it was just called Love Dimes. But I thought I was hot. You know, some old folks said hot cotton back then.
Right.
When you could go get your perfume, you're getting ready, get your nice little sneakers, and you had to make sure your sneakers clean
Right.
and make sure everything is laid out the night before. And you know, it was just the fun memories. My grandparents calling me to ask me, "You got your stuff ready for school? You looking good? You got your things together?"
Right.
But in all sense, I think the funnest thing about it is that our parents instilled pride in us.
That's right.
That's it. That's it.
That's wonderful. That's a
it.
great memory.
That's it.
Your Honor?
Well, I think as Dr. Byrd and Commissioner Maury Ziegler has said, I think the whole anticipation of, you know, having gone school shopping and picking out that outfit that you thought was going to set you apart from everybody else, you know. I remember when the whole Reebok pump shoes were out.
yes,
I
yes,
remember
yes.
I got in a pair of those in like 5th grade, and so you couldn't tell me anything during that time. And then, you know, I'd have to add that probably when I got to high school, particularly 8th and, you know, 9th grade, to want to get there and see your friends and really post up, you know, really at Baldwin, because you had a main stairwell that led from like the 1st to like the 2nd floor, and post up and see what the 7th and 8th graders were looking like that year. And so, and checking out some of who the new girls being there. But really, like you said, just a sense of pride of having your outfit, thinking you're looking clean. And it's a lot different now, you know, the kids, this generation, when they have like FaceTime and you know, they could go there and video chat. Sometimes you didn't see your friends during that summer. So really catching up with them and seeing how everyone changed and really just connecting with them and seeing who your teachers were. And like I said, you know, just really being excited about your outfit, and hopefully that you know, they couldn't tell you nothing when you walked in.
Oh yeah,
it.
because you were so fresh and clean.
You're so fresh and clean. Oh yeah.
That's it. But also too, you know what, and just having the opportunity to meet your teachers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because, you know, back then, of course, you were so excited, you know, to see your teachers. And, of course, you wanted your teachers to know your names. You want, you know, of course, you wanted to be the teacher's favorite and different things such as that.
That's
And
true.
so I know for me, just having the opportunity to meet my new teacher, you know, the person I was going to be with for the whole year, that also was an exciting part of, you know, for me as well.
I remember that. So let's bring it to the day. How important is this back to school moment right now to the county of Montgomery? So what does this mean right now in this moment? Dr. Byrd?
Right now, for me, it's a new start. It's a new start, and we are so excited about what is to come, because again, our teachers, our employees, they have been working so hard. Matter of fact, our principals have been in professional development all this week, trying to make sure, of course, that they are abreast of the current strategies that are out there, the new innovative strategies that we're going to employ for our students, for our teachers, making sure that we are familiar with the needs of our students, making sure, of course, in our classrooms, that they are ready, that they are fresh, that they are clean. This is just a new start for our students, making sure, of course, that we address all of their needs. Again, as I say so many times, our students, they have a lot of needs, and we have to make sure that we are prepared on the first day for every child that walks inside their classroom. We have to make sure that we are prepared to address his or her needs. And so that's what we're working on right now, to make sure we're able to do that.
Wonderful. I asked that same question to Commissioner Ziegler.
It's very important because we got to realize one thing. We're forging the young minds of today for tomorrow for Montgomery. And so we've got to be extra careful and working in hard with the teachers, with the superintendent, and with our leaders to ensure that we got these minds ready for the next 10, 20 years. They are our future. We have businesses coming into Montgomery, so we're growing that way. But we've got to make sure we have them prepared so that they can get out and get the jobs, and they can have an honest living right here in Montgomery, and they can buy homes in Montgomery, because we got to continue to make Montgomery grow.
That's right. Your Honor?
Well, I think that there's a renewed sense of excitement with Dr. Berg, not only for parents and students and even some of the teachers in MPS. And I've shared with Dr. Berg that I was over at a prayer walk over in Brighton Estates, and one of the participants was a teacher over at Carver, and he was talking about, how he was in his classroom and that Dr. Berg, being there new, came and stopped by and wanted to thank him for praying for him and how that touched him, and just the short time that he's been here, the effect that what he's had. And so it's a new day in MPS, but also trying to really impress upon everyone here in Montgomery that these aren't just their kids, their schools, but these are our kids, our schools. And that, as has long been said, how goes public education, there goes Montgomery counties. When you look at that, these are going to be the kids that we're educating now. They're going to be our future electricians, our HVAC technicians, our doctors, our nurses, the people who are waiting on us in restaurants. And so no matter, what side of town you live on, no matter if your kids go to public or private school, then you have a vested interest about what happens in MPS, because you own a business here. These are going to be your future employees. Right. And if we're educating people that aren't able to earn enough to buy your goods and services, then you're not going to be in business long. Or right. If you own property here, you live here, then the ability to educate our students to be able to get jobs here and be productive citizens are going to affect your property values. Right. And so, and then not even to get around what we're seeing out there in regards to crime. So the more kids that we keep in school, keep going to school, to get across that stage in graduation, the better Montgomery County is going to be.
That's awesome. So I've been hearing a lot, Dr. Bird, about beat absenteeism. I think it's a shame that absenteeism is as big of a problem as it is in our community. So please give your insight on how absenteeism impacts our county and our city.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks so much for that question. Absenteeism, of course, is our number one priority. Because we know that if our children, if they are not in school, they're not learning. Right. And right now, our chronic absenteeism rate is absolutely too high. In our elementary schools, I think we have a chronic absenteeism rate of about 22%. In middle schools, our absenteeism rate is around about 33%. And for high schools, it's at 45%. And when we talk about chronic absenteeism is actually defined as students who actually miss 18 or more days of school. So if we think about that, 18 or more days of school, and we think about our high school students missing, we have a chronic absenteeism rate of about 45%. We're saying, well, in that our students are not in school for half of the year. Wow. And so how can our students learn if they are not in school? And each day that a child misses is a day that the child doesn't have that is a day of a missed opportunity for the child to learn what he or she needed for that day. Wow. And so just think about it. If you miss one day, if you miss 2 days, well, the teacher has to continue with that lesson. So by the time you get back, you are that far behind. And so the teacher has to pull you aside and try to catch you up. Well, but no matter truly how hard the teacher tries, it's hard to try to catch up on 1 or 2 days of work. Wow. And so we have to think about this as our future, because again, our children are in our schools so that we can actually prepare them, so that we can give them a great future. Right. I talk to our teachers all the time. We are blessed. We have great opportunities. I'm sitting at this table with some great people. And we are thankful that we're in these positions because of the education that we received when we were in schools. We're giving our children our very best each and every day to make sure that they are prepared, because what society is actually expecting of them right now is actually more than what was expected of us. Right. And so we are doing our very, very best to make sure that they are prepared for not only college, but for their careers as well. And so each day that they miss is a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity in their future. So we are pleading with our parents to please work with us to make sure that our children, that they are in school each and every day.
Parents, you hear that, you heard it from the horse's mouth. So we're going to keep with absenteeism. Commissioner Ziegler, Judge Love, by kids not being in school, I'm pretty sure that has something to do with crime or some other things. So, what do you think about absenteeism and how it impacts our community?
Well, it greatly impacts our community because you're right. It does crime. If a child is away, then I don't mind. They said out of mind is the what? The devil's.
That was territory.
Okay, so, we have to make sure that the kids are in school. And I guess we got to get to a point and ask a basic question too to our parents. What do you need? What do you need so that we can ensure that your child grows? If you need help, if it's something that we need to offer, as far as the school system, do we need to sit down with Dr. Bird? Do we need to offer a daycare system? Do we need to offer something? I saw one time in a place in New York, they offer where they picked up meals. The parents were able to pick up meals when they got to pick the kids up. What is it? Because at the end of the day, every child deserves the right to come and get a good a free education, and we're offering it. But what happened that you don't want to get your child to school? And I think it gets to a point too, we have to ask this question with parents: why are we letting children decide that they don't want to come to school? I think we had that conversation a few minutes ago, sitting down talking about the fact that we had no choice. We had no choice. We had to get up every morning and get ready. I remember my father waking me up every morning at 5 o'clock, and he used to tell me nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. And I hadn't seen a man eat off that yet without work and determination. Someone needs your feet to hit the floor.
Oh, you preaching.
So we have to get to the point that we tell all the parents, and I say right now from the county, we want to complain about crime. And we want to say, okay, it's the mayor's fault. It's the commissioner's fault. It's the city council fault. It's the probate. It's the superintendent's fault. But what are we doing, parents, to work together to combat crime? What are we doing? If we have this high rate of absenteeism, we've got to be doing something to stop crime. And the only way we can stop it is that we sit down, have an honest conversation, and get your child back into school. You want your child, every parent, I know every parent out there wants their child to thrive.
Right.
They want their child to be productive citizens. They want their child to have a good living. They want their child to create a family. And they all want their child to leave some type of generational legacy. But it starts today. It starts today by getting them in school.
And, I think, just to go ahead and really echo what Dr. Bird and Commissioner Moore Ziegler said, that our kids aren't going to be successful if you're only getting half your education. And we really, as Commissioner Moore Ziegler said, we really have to talk to the parents and also impress upon them the importance of their kids showing up. And I'll say that, one of the issues, I guess, that as a parent, I'll say that we probably have given our kids too many options. And in certain situations, we try to be our kids' best friends rather than their parents. And to give them choices in areas where they shouldn't where their opinions don't matter, that you've got to go to school. This is your job. You're not going to work, you're not having to earn a living, but you got to go ahead and go to school. And as parents, we also have to take the accountability that we just can't shift the blame on someone else and saying, well, I've got to go to work. And so parenting doesn't stop, at the workhouse, door. That we still have an obligation to make sure our kids are going to school, to make sure that they're doing the assignments. It can't be, well, I don't have time to make sure they're doing their homework because I'm working. And so we all work, we all have jobs, we all have responsibilities, but we still have obligations to our kids. That's true. Because our kids didn't ask to be here, we brought them here.
That's right. And
because we brought them here and we made the decision they were going to be here, then we have an obligation to make sure we equip them for the world they're going to face. And I believe, and obviously, as Commissioner Moore Ziegler talked about, making sure that they're fed and they have food, which is going to get more challenging when you see the changes that are coming down the pike to the SNAP program, and that we're going to find more people, possibly kids coming to school hungry and needing to go ahead and have meals at home. And so I understand it's kind of hard to really sit in the classroom and want to learn if you're going to worry about where you're going to eat that night. That's true. And so, those are the things we really have to worry about, but we really have to make sure that our kids get there. And we also have to bring back that whole sense of community, that used to be a time if people in the neighborhood saw kids that should be in school, they're going to call your parents, they're going to call your grandparents and be like, hey, where are you going? You're supposed to be up there in school. And they're going to take you back if they don't go ahead and make you go back. And so we also have to have that, not be afraid of of our youth these days, to really go ahead and really make it a sense of community.
Thank you for that. And I think this is a great time for me to remind you, the Back to School Bash is on August the 2nd from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Crampton Bowl Multiplex, August 2nd. Also, first day of school is August the 5th. We need all parents to register in Power School. Look, my kids have graduated. I ain't got to worry about that. I ain't got to get no uniforms. But y'all get in Power School, get your kids registered for school, and have them at school every day. What can we look forward to on August the 2nd for the Back to School Bash? You haven't been to one yet.
I'm not, but I've heard about them.
They are off the chain. But it's community, it's family, it's friends, and it's business, which is leading me to my next question. How can businesses help impact our school system? How can they join in?
Partners, of course, and we are thankful to all of our many, many partners in education. And I don't think people realize just how important those partnerships are. Because again, we have partners that actually sponsor our robotics competition. We have partners that oftentimes sponsor teacher appreciation days for our teachers. We have partners that sponsor field trips for our students. We have partners that actually sponsor back to school backpacks and supplies and different things such as that. So our partners, they play a huge role in our schools. But not only that, they actually serve as mentors for a lot of our students. They serve as, people that our children want to be like. And so they play a vital role in our schools, not just for the financial role, but for the mentorship as well. We welcome all of our partners, to come into our schools, to talk with our students, again, to serve as those mentors, to allow our students, to come to their business so they can actually go out, look at some of the co-op programs that we have in our communities. So our partners are very important. And I'm so thankful for these partners that we have right here, because we know that we called on these partners a lot. And so I think that Commissioner Ziegler, she's getting on us well about always using her phone number for everything that we need.
That's
and the
right.
same thing with Judge as well, but they are wonderful partners. And so again, we're just thankful to all of our partners.
Commissioner Ziegler, you're District 2, correct?
Yes.
What schools are in your district?
I have Carver High School, Carver Elementary. I have Safflon Middle, Safflon Elementary, Penlala. I have McKee. I have Seth Johnson. I have Fitzpatrick. I have Macmillan.
Wow, you know them all, too.
I'm telling you,
Y'all should be
I'm
proud.
I'm
Y'all
sorry,
give
and
it
I
up
have
for y'all.
Bear. I have Bear.
Oh, she forgot one.
Can't
No, it's
leave
good.
anybody out.
I have Bear.
So how can business and education, what does that marriage look like to you?
Well, I think, we fail to realize everyone thinks partnership means that, okay, they're going for Hyundai or they're going for Meta. But that's not true. We can get the small partner where if you're a small business and you say, okay, I want to feed the football team tonight, or you're a small business that says, I want to give gift cards to the teachers in that area, or I just want to be a mentor. Can I come in and mentor those kids? You have to understand Carver has a culinary program.
And it's off the chain.
Oh my gosh. So what does it look like that you're a small business right there on the west side and you have a restaurant, but you said, okay, let me say this. Can you send me 10 of the kids for me to mentor?
Wow.
Then you've changed the whole life of some kids. Or we're sitting up right now talking about SNAP. SNAP's about a lot of things going on. Some of these kids are hungry. I'm getting calls now and I want to work with some of my schools to create a food pantry. So what if some of these businesses come in and say, okay, Commissioner, we hear you want to do a food pantry. So this week we will donate all of this. We'll donate all the snacks for this week. Or we'll donate all the hygiene for this week. It means a lot to have a partnership, because you have to understand when we talked about that absenteeism, sometimes a kid may be absent for lack of food, lack of clothes, lack of hygiene. So what happens if you do a partnership and you provide those three things? You may change someone's life.
You about to run for governor. You putting the bid in because you're way too passionate. Y'all give it up for Commissioner Ziegler again. My Lord. Judge Love, business and education. Any words on that?
Well, I'll say that, it goes back to what I said earlier, that we've got to realize these are our kids. That, it doesn't matter whether or not your kids are in private school or your kids are no longer, they're in college or they're adults, that these are our kids. And we should have a vested interest in how they do, in their success and or their failure. And so, there was a while ago, I saw a video on YouTube that Charleston White was talking about, that when he grew up, he had never seen a man in his family go to work. He talked about that his grandfather was a pimp, his uncle sold drugs, the men that his mother dated didn't have jobs, and so it was hard for him to growing up to say, I want to do something productive when everyone he saw was doing something that was illegal. And we have to realize, for many of our kids, that's the environment they're living in. And so it's hard to say that I want to be an engineer, I want to be an architect, I want to be a nurse or a doctor. I've never seen them. And so we really have to encourage our business community to go ahead and get invested in our schools, to go out there and talk to our kids. Go ahead, if you're a Hyundai, you're an Alpha, or even if you're a small business, go ahead and adopt a school. We're going to be committed to going ahead and reading and getting involved and rewarding those kids who are on honor roll to go ahead and help improve performance. And it's what I tell many of the people in the business community. And even when people talk about, the glory days of playing football at Jeff Davis or at Lee at Carver, then our practice facilities shouldn't look the way they do.
Right.
That we shouldn't have our kids trying to scrounge around for practice uniforms, or coaches trying to scrounge around for money to be able to feed their teams on these road and away games. That you should go ahead and be invested just the way they used to be back in the day, because when I went to Jeff Davis, they had boosters that made sure that the practice field was cut, to make sure they had money to go on trips, to make sure they had the uniforms. And so that's one of the things that I've tried to go ahead and do as probate, just support the teams, because these kids could be doing something a lot less productive. And I do want to go ahead and commend Commissioner Moore Ziegler that there was a time last year when I was reading during Read Across America Week to the kids over at McMillan Pre-K, and the principal was talking and saying, well, we had a trip to the zoo and we had to cancel it, that we didn't have the money to be able to send them. And these are kids in the area, my kids go to Forest Avenue and they always go to the zoo. And these are kids who would get the exposure of seeing an elephant, seeing a giraffe, to go ahead and see the gazelles. And so I placed a call to Commissioner Moore Ziegler and said, hey, are there anything that you can do to go ahead and help these kids have this opportunity? And she, without a bat, she said, I'll go out there and do it. Her and City Councilman C.C. Calhoun helped to go ahead and provide these kids an opportunity, and that's what we've got to have in the city. That we've got to have everybody, putting their shoulder to the plow to ensure our kids are successful. We can't put all the work on MPS, on Dr. Bird and the board and the teachers, but we've also have to take a vested interest in ensuring that our kids are success. So, well, as I said, going ahead and getting invested in the school, offering internship opportunities,
Right.
to say, all right, give us, we'll take 1 year, because I talked about, told Dr. Bird about when I was in law school, I worked for a firm in Baltimore, and they had a similar program like that. And there was a young boy who was fascinated by the law library, because he had never seen that many books. And so he would always spend his lunch hour sitting there reading the books. And so, because, and just reading about old cases. And so those are the kind of opportunities we got to give our kids, just so that they can go ahead and reach out and touch, a commissioner. They can touch a probate judge. And they can go ahead and touch a doctor. They can go ahead and touch a nurse, an engineering firm, to get everybody involved. Because we can all do more than what we're doing. And so we all can do our part to educate and equip our kids.
And I'll say this before we bring this to a close. I'm not calling any names, but my fraternity has been challenged today. And they're laughing now, but my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha, has been challenged to say we're not doing enough in the schools. And I'm sitting up here with 2 Kappa men, and I'm not gonna let y'all. So I know that I'm pulling up the first day of school. I'm gonna go to my wife's, and shout out to Tidra Martin. She's the new principal at Chisholm. I'm gonna go ahead and say now I'm volunteering the first day of school at Chisholm. Gentlemen, I want my brothers, if you represent A5A, please join me at Chisholm, or put it up under this live that you wanna volunteer for the first day. But we're getting out of here. Thank y'all for this discussion. We're going to let everybody give 2 to 3 sentences. We want to give a message to our young people out there. for the back to school. Back to school, August 2nd. Crampton Bowl Multiplex, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Give them a message, the kids and the families a message.
I'm gonna let you go
Okay,
first.
all right.
I caught y'all guard with
Oh,
that. didn't
yes,
I?
sir. Well, just want to say this right here. We are absolutely so excited for all of our kids when they come back. We are so excited to welcome all of our parents back. This is going to be a year like no other. We promise we have been working hard to make sure that we are introducing new and innovative curriculums, but we're also making sure that we're working hard to make sure that what we introduce, that it is actually relevant. We're making sure that we're going to address all of the needs of our students. We're going to make sure that when you come into our schools, we're going to make sure that you feel welcome, that you feel appreciated, but most importantly, that you feel heard. And so we're so excited to welcome all of our students back. Again, we want you all to hurry up, get back, because this is going to be a year like no other.
Well, I say I charge all of not only just elected officials, but I charge business leaders, people that grew up in Montgomery. We want to tell you how Montgomery was, how it used to be. But let's talk about it now. And I challenge each one of you to go out there and be a mentor to a young person, to show the kid the way you say, okay, this is how it was. Well, show them. Show how what the stuff you were made of. Show them the Montgomery that we grew up in, the Montgomery that's in us, the Montgomery that was instilled in us. Show it to someone else, and the only way you can do that is by giving back, being there every day, making sure these kids are not just seen, not just heard, most of all, they're loved.
And I just want to go ahead and talk to the parents that, we're all working hard to try to equip and prepare you to send your kids back to school. We know we're in a difficult economic time dealing with inflation, dealing with tariffs. And, I can tell you how expensive it is. I've got 3 kids myself. I've got to buy uniforms for them. So, we're just trying to do our part to go ahead and help equip our kids to go ahead and get a good education. And our schools, they're well beyond just test scores and rote memory, but also places for them to go ahead and learn, critical skills, teamwork, conflict resolution, being able to overcome difficult circumstances, and also being able to learn empathy and kindness and other life lessons. And so it's important that our kids come to school every day. And we know that life is hard and work is hard, but we also got to go ahead and do what the job entails for us to be a parent. That, it's not a job that we don't get any days off as a parent.
Right.
We don't get a chance to sleep in when you have kids, that you've got to go ahead and make sure that they have what they need, even if you don't have what you need. And so I just want to encourage you, let's go ahead and work together on this absenteeism, because the only one who's getting punished are our kids. They're the ones that are suffering. So let's go ahead and work together to give our kids a good head start and help prepare them for this future.
That's right. Get your kids to school. Thank you for joining us. It's a wrap.